Brandon Boxer Show. News Radio 610 WTVN.
Well, we're seeing word that Russia is set to cut oil production by at least 5% as some of the sanctions put on them is starting to bite. So now we're hearing we could see production cut by 500,000 barrels a day starting in March. That's a little over 2 months after the world's major economies imposed that price cap on the country's seaborne exports. What does that mean for us? Oil and gas expert, fourth generation oil and gas expert Jay Young is with us on the LegacyRetirementGroup.com phone line right now. Jay, first of all, thanks for joining us early this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hope everybody had a great evening last night, and I hope your team won.
Yeah, so but before we get to the seriousness of what's going on with Russia, can I just say today is National Football Hangover Day, and we were talking a little bit off air. You were too, my producer. Should today be a national holiday?
If I was going to run for any office whatsoever, that's the one thing that I'd push.
That'd be your platform.
That's a national holiday. We do have a lot of holidays. There's a lot of national holidays out there. I don't know of one that's better. That'll be more appreciated. That would probably get you more votes than anything else. Is to get you, hey, we need to take Monday off. It needs to be a national holiday. I mean, you can lump some of them in. I love President's Day. I think President's Day is a great holiday, but
yeah.
Well, I don't know, man. It's just it is. Well, it's going to be very, very slow today around the office.
You're a Texas guy, right? So are you? I'll just throw it out there. Are you Cowboys fan or?
Well, both quarterbacks were from Texas, so that's a good thing. And we're the national. We're Dallas Cowboys because we're from Dallas. So
yeah.
Obviously they didn't play, but I kept waiting, but they still didn't show up. And so therefore, you like Philly, but Kansas City, I really just wanted a good game. I just wanted a really good game, and that's exactly what we got. Was very entertaining. I wasn't pulling for anybody. I was just pulling for a good football game and to watch a great halftime show, which I'm not really 100% sold on that because I've got kids, and they were in the house, and they were watching Rihanna, which is, controversial, as we'll always hear about that. But also, too, love the commercials. There were some really, really good commercials.
Yeah. Well, let's get to the oil thing right now because we know that Russia is already set to cut crude oil production. Now, Jay, we've had you on before about this. This is your forte. This is going to hurt us at the end of the day, right? Especially 500,000 barrels a day.
Yeah, anytime you see any disruption in oil anywhere around the world, it's going to affect somebody somewhere. I mean, it's like when President Biden came into office and was against fossil fuels at the very beginning, and all of a sudden, prices shot way up, and all because he said, we're not going to need any pipelines. Well, you do need pipelines, and all of a sudden the war came. That pipeline would have supplied us with enough oil that we wouldn't have needed Russian oil at the time because that oil over there is really, really strong and really heavy, and that's the same kind of crude we could have got out of Canada at the time. So, yes, there's any type of disruption anywhere. All of a sudden, it just throws things in a kink, and you're like, okay, so we need oil. Where are we going to get it? And like I said, any type of disruption or delay or anything is not going to be good. I don't know if Russia, if they don't know if they can't find anybody to buy it anymore, are they playing a game where they're just taking that oil off because India is still buying a lot of their oil, but a lot of people have decided, hey, we don't want Russian oil. There's this Russia-Ukraine situation, and that's going to hurt. That's hurting their business, but hey, they're still okay. They're still not hurting for money, obviously. But at the end of the day, what are you putting in your pump, and how much are you going to pay?
Yeah.
That's what I see continuing to go up, and it's not only because of Russia. You do have the Russia situation, but you also have what normally happens during this time of year when people are making. And there's the three big oil and gas companies, Exxon and Chevron, that they've made over $100 billion this year but they're really not increasing their rig count to increase their oil and gas production as much as they normally would. They're not increasing that oil and gas production. Therefore, that's also going to hurt oil and gas.
And Jay, if I could, by the way, Jay Young is with us, fourth-generation oil and gas expert. Jay is always accommodating, and he's a frequent guest, especially when it comes to oil. Let me ask you about that. Chevron came up in a conversation with Gas Buddies Patrick DeHaan a couple of weeks ago. Chevron made headlines because they've spent billions in stock buybacks. Yes, absolutely. You're right, Jay. There is a lot of red tape when it comes to what President Biden has done, hindering the efforts to produce more oil in the country. But as Patrick pointed out, you have a company like Chevron who has leases all over the world. So educate at least me, if anything else, on why is that they can't do more production if they have a global setting, a global presence?
Well, it's, the first thing I look at and the first thing that comes to mind when you ask that question, Brandon, is, okay, well, hey, we have all this money, we have all these leases, but they also have to have board approval. And okay. I know there's several public companies. When I'm around and I'm talking to different groups, I talked to this one group, and I was in this dinner with 2-3 guys at a dinner table that are public companies, and I say, hey, are you guys increasing your rig count? And they're like, no, not this year. And I'm like, you guys are making so much money, why aren't you increasing your rig count? Because, when you look at oil and gas prospect, there's 3 things you need, right? You need the oil and gas prospect, and then you look at it and you say, okay, it's going to cost $8 million to drill this well, and there's 500,000 barrels of oil in the ground, and then you have to look at, okay, well, so what are you going to get? How much money are you going to get for that barrel of oil every time you drill? You're drilling and oil comes out of the ground. How much are you getting for that? Then you can see what your internal rate of return is, and obviously at $80 or $100 or $120 a barrel, it's a lot better than at $20 or $30 a barrel. It's just a multiplier, and it's internal rate of return. Don't want to get too complicated, but if you run it through your calculator, $80 a barrel is a lot better than $30. And I said, hey, it's $80 a barrel. Why aren't you guys drilling like crazy? And they're like,
sure.
People on our board are just not letting us drill. They don't want to. They don't want to increase rig count. They want to hold back. They want to.
I'm sorry.
All these other things with money.
I'm up against a hard break, but maybe like 15 seconds here. But if you're Chevron spending billions in stock buybacks, isn't that a bad look of the future for you? That you're not seeing a future for you?
You're not seeing the increase of oil and gas production, which is what you need, which I talk about in my book, The Upside of Oil and Gas Investing. Go online, kingoperating.com, look at it. Send me an email. I'll send copies to people. Brandon, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Always a pleasure talking to you. And
you got it.
Give me a call back for another update in another month.
Awesome. Jay Young, thank you so much. Appreciate your time this morning.